At the seed of light,
Manifestation. Peace, peace, peace.
we are
True
July.
Let's give everybody an opportunity to tap in and win. We got a hot topic this evening.
Seed of light, seed of
Unscheduled like most of my topics, because I always kind of try to dip in when it's necessary.
tonight with the seed of light.
You're divine, you're divine, you're divine, you're divine. Go ahead and lock in.
Raise your vibration tonight.
Energize this vortex.
You're divine, you're divine, you're divine, you're divine. Raise your vibration tonight.
See the Light Unity Temple.
You're divine, you're divine, you're divine, you're divine. Raise your vibration tonight.
Let's get on up in here. All right. Excellent, excellent, excellent. I am really excited to tap in this evening. So if you have the opportunity to catch us live, come on and catch us live. If you have the opportunity to catch us on the replay, then simply catch us on the replay. Okay. I want to talk about something. There are going to be a lot of people who gravitate towards this video because of the title. There's going to be a lot of people that gravitate towards this video because this is a topic that's has been talked about most recently within the tarot community. And normally I mind my business. Normally I mind my business, but because this topic was so near and dear to me for so many reasons, I felt like with having over 25 years of dedicated practice as a spiritualist, as a reader, I feel like I can weigh in. The reason why I also feel like that I can weigh in is because a lot of the people with opinions surrounding this topic are not educated. They are giving basically what they are giving, and that is an opinion. And it's more than likely an opinion that nobody asked for, right? It is very easy to judge what a lot of people go through when you are a follower. First of all, it takes courage to be a content creator. The reason why I say it takes courage because of the way that people are. People are very judgmental. People are very reactionary. People always have something to say, something to point out, why they themselves either hide behind an avatar or simply react and comment to something that somebody else has already stated without doing any type of verifiable research, any type of digging, any type of validation to be an accredited authority to speak on such things. In other words, is really actually none of our business what someone else does on their journey. And what a lot of people have to recognize, I'm going to get off into trying to drop some teaching around this, but we need to establish a few house rules. First of all, take your shoes off at the door. We don't allow shoes on in this house. That means leave your crap, your nonsense, your negativity, leave it in the prior timeline, because here on this timeline, that's not what we're entertaining, right? What many people misconstrue, especially when they are a follower of someone else's content, and yes, I am going to emphasize that word with enough emphasis, a follower, right? Because I believe the world has enough followers. right? You're following this, you're following that without going using your own inner authority. But what many of you fail to realize is that many of these people that you look up to, including myself, are people that are having a journey themselves. Now, where I think a lot of confusion comes in is that a lot of people, before they've had an opportunity to fully live a journey, walk a journey, many miles, it's just that they see the road sign as they're walking along the highway. They're not even driving. The car broke down, and they just driving along the highway, right? And they see the sign says tarot, right? Let's just say there was a road sign on the highway that says tarot 2 miles ahead, but they never really get off of the exit to go in and explore the city, the town, the area of tarot. For example, they see the sign and then all of a sudden they're readers. So a lot of confusion and a lot of misguiding comes in when you have people that are basically just new. Even if you 5, 10 years and you still new, as far as I'm concerned, and reading for yourself and reading for your friends and reading on social media, these may be things to help you cut your teeth and sharpen your skills and all of that, but it doesn't equate to real world knowledge and wisdom. Because if there was real world knowledge and wisdom that was being taught on, you wouldn't hear so many people with their defensive combative commentary stating it's just a deck of cards. And this is how you know that many people don't know what they're talking about. Because if you can say it's just a deck of cards, then that shows that you are ignorant to what tarot actually is from a spiritual and metaphysical perspective. To you, it's just a deck of cards. To you, it's just a game. To you, it's just another tool of divination. No different than a pendulum. You don't even know how and why the pendulum is moving. But oh, I pulled out my pendulum and my pendulum said, your pendulum didn't say anything. Your pendulum swayed in a particular direction. Do you have an idea? Do you have the knowledge and wisdom on what actually, in fact, is making that pendulum sway? Hmm? No, you don't. So to let me back up for a minute. Let me back up for a minute and let me talk about what I want to talk about. Let me talk about what I want to talk about. And many of my people, what's happening? I'm going to get to the greetings and salutations momentarily. We're going to allow a couple of more people to come in. I'm just kind of warming up the energy, energizing the vortex before we get off into our schooling, right? So this is another one. Take out your pens and pads and take out you some notes because you may learn something here. Okay. So let me back up so I can give you a little bit of context on why I'm speaking about this subject in particular. Why tarot readers are running to Jesus, Yeshua, Jesus, Christos, so many different names, so many different energetic vibrations. And I want to kind of break it down because I also understand that there is a lot of residual from the patriarchal colonialism that has ensued and befallen a lot, and with the intent to demonize certain things. So there are points all across this board that we're going to talk about, but there are many different versions of Jesus, Yeshua. And for many melanated folk, many black folk, you all feel that, hey, Jesus ain't real. Jesus ain't this. Jesus ain't that. Jesus didn't get us out of slavery. Jesus still got your grandmama broke and sick in the hospital bed, and she been worshiping and praising him all her life, and still nothing has changed. Nothing has happened. So black folk have a sore spot oftentimes when it comes to Jesus, especially those that come out of religious households, Okay, whether it be Christianity, whether it be Al-Islam, right? Many people that find themselves going into mysticism, divination, or extra religious spiritual paths, whether it be ATRs or whatever it is, many people have come up in households where all their family knew was Jesus, and some haven't. Some people were like, I went to church with my grandparents, but during the time that I was with my mother wasn't a saved person going to church every Sunday, going to church every time that the doors open, choir rehearsal, Sunday school, Wednesday Bible study, Thursday choir rehearsal, and all these different things. I didn't know anything about that until I got with my grandparents. So you have it different ways. Some people grew up in the church. Some people did not grow up in the church. Some people have gone to church their entire lives or watched their families go to church their entire lives and talk about being saved. They haven't been saved from anything. They haven't been saved from anything. But here's where some of the lesson is going to get deep. So while we can make room for and make spiritual covering and protection for the teachings that we're going to get off into tonight, I need to say that one person's journey is not your own. And if you are so fully invested in what somebody else has going on and the decisions that they are making their journey, then that begs to question a lot about who you are and why don't you feel self-confident enough in yourself. So I digress. Back to the context of what has sparked this discussion on this evening. So I've saw some videos. It just kind of came up in my feed, but you know how that goes, family. Nothing just comes up in your feed, right? Things come up that you're either attracting on an energetic level, or there's some message that you need to get or to receive or to tap into. So this is why things come up in your feed. Nothing just randomly comes up in your feed, right? So evidently, um, there is a young lady who was on TikTok. I don't have a TikTok. Okay. I don't have a TikTok. But they're talking about a young lady um who, and you all know me, I like to refrain from names because I just don't speak on people. I may speak on a situation, but I don't feel that I have the right to speak on a person, like speak their name. Their name is a frequency, their name is a vibration, and I'm not trying to feed the name either way. I'm trying to bring clarity on the subject. But there was a young lady who was very well known with about 1 million followers, they say. 1 million followers on TikTok. Now, you all done scared the shit out of me because I didn't even know they had something called witch talk. I mean, I'm new to all of this. I ain't new to the game, but I'm new to all of this witch talk. So there's a separate division, I'm assuming, a separate branch of TikTok that calls itself witch talk. So there's a young lady on here who had about 1 million followers. She had about 1 million followers as she was reading the tarot. 1 million followers as she's reading the tarot. Now, she recently made a video. She recently went on TikTok and made a video stating that that was going to be her last video. She went and deleted all her videos. Something like me. You all know that I deleted an entire channel with over 50 something thousand subscribers. Because when you're done with something, you're done with something. When you're closing a portal on something, you're closing a portal. When you're closing a chapter and ready to rewrite the new chapter, you flip the pages. Okay, so anyway, I digress. So the young lady went on the internet, which God bless her for giving any type of explanation. But she went on the internet to say to her almost 1 million people that was following her channel that she's done with this, that she's gotten saved, that Jesus Christ saved her life. She said Jesus Christ saved her life. She's done with the tarot. She deleted all her videos and said that was going to be her last video. Now, to my surprise, because I didn't even know you all cared that much. I didn't even know that you all were that much invested into what somebody else is doing along their journey. Hell, if you don't like where they're going, just hop off the Ferris wheel. That's all. But evidently, the young lady had been receiving a lot of backlash from followers. You had some people that were speaking like, oh, she's been controlled by the church. It must be some boyfriend. It must be some, religious zealot organization that is causing her to trip out and make this decision and all of these different things. And some people, even throughout their comment, this is how they close their video out. Oh, and by the way, I'm a tarot reader too. So if you were one of her clients, since she's not doing it anymore, I'll do it for you. Way to plug yourself. Way to plug yourself. Then you have people talking about, oh, she was 22 years old. She was a baby. She was a baby. You're a baby. You're a baby. Because to come on the internet and have such a charged and emotionally charged opinion about what somebody else is doing with their life, that amazes me. It means, what else do you have going on for yourself? Why is it your business? This eerily echoes something very similar to this happening many years ago, doesn't it, family? I would say, has it almost been nearly a decade? Has it been nearly a decade since Doreen Virtue renounced her reading tarot, stopped making decks, and say that she was running to Jesus, going back to Jesus? Right? And I remember, in even in my own ignorance, I was like, oh, okay, well, Doreen, if you want to stop doing it, guess what? I'm gonna pick up where you left off. And to date, I've made about 20 oracle decks and 3 tarot decks. I also no longer make my deck. So if you have one, hold on to it. It might be worth something one day. Okay. I also made a decision to no longer create my decks. So again, when I speak on today's topic, make sure you all share this video, like it if you want to. You don't have to. I'm not really into all that begging and shit. You do what you want to do, and if you don't, that's fine with me. I get it. But I do feel that I have an authority with over 25 years of dedicated service, provable service, as a diviner, as an energetic reader, and as a spiritual ritualist. Proven. I do feel that I have an authority to speak on this topic. I do not feel that I need to defend anybody's position because, again, it's actually none of our business. But I do want to bring clarity for the many people that will be out there putting your energetic trust in someone who you feel is leading you and guiding you and different things like that. Baby, it's time for you to, on this new timeline, I don't know if many of you all are recognizing that there's a 3D, 5D shift going on. And for many of these people that have so much to say about this young lady and other young ladies and other tarot readers and other spiritualists who left, this religion or that path or this thing to go, back into Jesus, why are we judging so hard? All right, let me get into the lesson. Like I said, if you have your notepad, you have your books, your notepad, whatever you have, let's get into it. Again, it's just another one, another tarot reader. She basically tore everything down. A lot of us do it, but some of us do it for different reasons. They say they found Jesus. A lot of people feel they come back around because they may be influenced by religion, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, or any of the other religions and any of the other branches that come off of it. They say that the cards were the devil. The cards were the devil, right? See, the devil is you. The devil is Liv. The devil is actually, I made a video about this many, many years ago on the channel that I tore down called Is Satan a Hitman for God? God told Satan to try his servant Job, did he not? So I don't want to get off too much into that, but the devil is that uncontrollable urge. That's why the devil card in the deck of tarot is represented by worldliness, materialism, and not being pulled in and drawn in and ruled and controlled by materialism, not be, and this is what I'm saying. So if we're looking at the devil, right, from the devil card in the tarot, and you all make sure that you check the link in the description and you'll be able to find my book. It's not in the cards. My memoir talks about my own journey through the major arcana and each one of those archetypes. And this is why when people say it's just a deck of cards, it's actually not just a deck of cards, and we're going to get off into that, right? So the internet loses their minds either way. Some people cheer and some people say, oh, welcome back to Jesus. Welcome back to Jesus. Welcome back to Christianity. Some people call it a betrayal. Oh, she left the cult. She left the dark side. She left. Yeah. But nobody just lets that person have their own journey. Nobody just leaves that person to be able to walk and live in the choices that they make. So today I want to slow the whole conversation down a little bit. And we're going to talk about the sensationalism. Around tarot and people saying, oh, I'm quitting the tarot and I'm going back to Jesus. We're going to talk about the wound that so many of us as melanated people carry around the name of Jesus. We're also going to talk a little bit about what tarot actually is underneath the fear. We're going to talk about the difference between leaning on outside spirits and trusting the magic that you were born with, the magic that's already inside of you. Because yes, just like you can lean and depend on the tarot too much, you can also lean and depend on these spirits so much. Oh, my spirit guides told me. Oh, Ogun told me. Jesus told me. God told me. All of these people told you, but it's never anything that's coming from your higher self, huh? We funny enough, we as human beings we're spiritual beings having a human experience, but we call ourselves human beings. But this is what we do. We blame everything that goes on in our life on an external force, whether we're giving it the glory and the praise or we're giving it the blame. They say, oh, God bless me. God gave me this house. God gave me this car. God gave me this husband, but the devil made me do it. You see, so we have this inbred inclination to attribute every aspect of our lives to something external. Okay. Now, stay with me. And I know that I'm going to touch some nerves, but it's supposed to. That's the only way for us to get healed. And that's the only way for us to get cleansed. Now, here's a problem that I personally see. What I keep noticing. When you have a reader, a person that renounces the tarot for Christianity in public, for some reason, their story gets treated like evidence. They take it like, let me, this is concrete. Let me write this down. What kind of evidence? Evidence that one path was fake and the other was always real. This was wrong and this one was always right. But that's not what's actually happening. What's actually happening is a person moved toward whatever felt safer to them in that season of their life. Did you hear me? I said that person moved toward whatever felt safer, whatever felt more comfortable, whatever felt more valid to them in that season of their life. Yes or no? That's it. That's the whole story. It's not a reflection of you. It's not a referendum on you. It's not proof that your path is wrong or that you're wrong for doing tarot. It ain't none of that ain't none of your business what somebody else denounces. If you feel, listen, and for those of you that don't read tarot and you feel bad because some of your favorite readers, including myself, have decided that we're going to stop using cards, guess what? Pick up your own deck. Read for yourself then and stop depending so much on other people, because there's dangers in putting your spiritual, energetic, emotional, and mental dependence on another individual. Huh? Nobody is telling you that your path was wrong. If that's for you, then that's for you. It's one person on one road making a choice that made sense for their nervous system, whether they had fear, their history, their family, their trauma, whatever it is. We don't know what door just closed behind them or what door they're desperately trying to go through. That's why I say it's actually not our business. See, the best thing that you can say for somebody like that is more power to you. Move on. Peace and blessings. Thank you for the clarity that you brought me for all of these years. But to sit back and judge and say that somebody jumped ship, hell, do you know how many times you're going to jump ship if you live long enough? And can we be honest? A lot of the loudest reactions to these type of stories aren't really about that person at all, about the individual. It's not about the young lady. It's not about Doreen Virtue. The reactions are about the audience needing their own choice validated. Well, if she quit and she had 1 million followers, oh my God, am I? Come on now, talk to me when I'm talking. Talk to me when I'm talking. If someone else, if someone else is leaving confirms what you already believed, then you celebrate that. You're happy with it. You're like, oh, good for you. Now that means that I should do it too. But if it threatens what you believe, you get defensive. Why? Your belief is your belief. You stand on it. You get defensive. Either way, the reaction is about you. It's not about them. So when you have a very strong reaction to someone else that you're following, making a detour or going in a different direction, you have to ask yourself, why is this why is this causing me to react with such emotion? And this is where the discernment matters. Right, family? Because there's a real difference between someone sharing their honest transformation and someone performing a conversion story for clout. Talk to me when I'm talking. Hmm? You see, because I remember back when I was Aphrodite Stone, and yes, in this new timeline, in this dimension, I'm not her, but she will always be a part of me. She will always be Aphrodite, the black goddess. She helped me get through some tremendous times, and she helped me to meet some awesome and amazing people that I still value their energy right now to this day. But I noticed something that, there came a time when I was doing videos as Aphrodite Stone that it came a time that I wanted to not be seen, just like now, because I feel like people are always, hey goddess, ooh, I like those earrings, I like that shirt, I like that head wrap, I like that this, I like that. You looking good today, and a person that's in their ego and a person that's in their, ooh yeah, worship me, praise me, don't I look good type of frequency, they thrive off of that, but I never did. I never thrived off of that. I always was more concerned with the message. I always was more concerned with what spirit had for me to reveal and share with you than I was with how I looked doing it. So there were times that I cut off the camera. There were times that I just said, you know what, I'm not doing videos anymore, because people like India Irie recently said about somebody who did a song, people love low vibration, can't break away from it, can't stop. So it's not up to us to judge where a person is. You look, vibrate where you're vibrating at. Right? When it became like I felt like I was performing, like, what's up, family? What's going on? Let's get into the voice. Then next thing you know, here's somebody else's. Let's warm up the room. And everybody everything that I remember starting over 15 years ago, the way that I created and delivered my content. Once I began to see other people start catching on it, that's what started training the algorithm. You could say that I was one of the OGs to help to train the spiritual algorithm on YouTube. And then I had to pull out. I had to pull out like a brother that know he didn't want no kids. Because see, something is changing. Something is happening within this energetic flow of spiritual teachers, where it started to become more performative. It started to become more people that were just getting up there trying to say something to make $1, book a session, book what? So when you see someone that's sharing their honest transformation, they're not really doing that because they owe you an explanation. They're doing that, like in the instance when I did it, when I took down my channel and I said, listen, I made an apology to any and everybody that have ever listened to me. I said, listen, if there was ever anything that I taught you erroneously in my ignorance, may I apologize. But I also made it clear, don't take my word for it. Those of you that know me and been with me for a long time, what's the next sentence that I say after that? When I say don't take my word for it, what do I say next? Yeah, and there are some people that are putting on a story for clout to get views, because those reversal narratives, that's what's getting rewarded by the algorithm right now. You got so many people, oh, they came back to Jesus, or oh, they left the church. Some of what you see is sincere, and some of it is content strategy that's dressed up like somebody's testimony. But you don't have to try to figure out which is which for every individual that you see online. You just have to notice that the incentive exists, that there's an incentive for people that want to monetize their story. Let that soften your certainty about what one person that's sharing their story proves to you. I want you to remember this the very next time that you see one of those videos. Let people have their journey, because your journey is still your journey. Now, let me sip something. Let me sip something. Now, one of the reasons why a lot of melanated people, in my opinion, and I can give that if I can, if you all would let me, I don't mind sharing it. I ain't charging you for it. I ain't even monetized the video. The reason why a lot of melanated people have like this heart wound around Jesus, we could talk about the good ship Jesus. You know, the stuff that doesn't get talked about enough. So here's where some history comes in. In the late 1500s, there was a captain named John Hawkins, I believe it was. And he sailed a ship to West Africa. He was an Englishman. Okay. And the ship was called the Jesus of Lubeck. Right? And people called it the good ship Jesus. Here's the funny thing about it. And this is why we know that the French, the Spanish, the English, all of these people had a hand in slavery. All these Europeans had a hand in slavery. In addition to the many Africans that was actually selling the tribes that were not of their own people, the tribes that they had, captured. All you got to do was watch the Woman King. That gives you a little bit of historical context about how even in particular regions of the continent, right? Because you had melanated peoples primarily in Northern Africa, because you had the transatlantic slave trade and you had the sub-Saharan slave trade, which a lot of people don't talk about, the Arabs who were, selling melanated people. So, and enslaving melanated people. So there was a huge group of people. Some arguably say the 12 tribes, many of the scattered. This is how the 12 tribes got scattered, because you had the Arabs up here on this region of the continent who were chasing and hunting Africans down to sell them. So then what they had to do, they had to run for their life. They had to migrate. They had to run for their life, and they had to migrate. Where did they migrate to? Into West Africa, into Central and West Africa. So what happens is you got a tribe over here of some people that never seen you before. You come over here from, let's say, Ethiopia, what they call the Kush Empire back then, very rich empire and very rich in the whole Jesus vibration before the Europeans came and got it. But you have these Africans who came thinking that you're merchants and you're coming trying to, yes, my brother, I want to, we trade, my people and me, we're looking for shelter, we're looking for safety. And then here you got some over here in this other part. I'm not going to mention any parts. If you all knew your history, you would know what I was saying. And then you say, oh, okay, yeah, come on. And they welcome you in. And then when you sleep, they beat up your men, do worse to your men. And then they do worse to your women and children. And then they sell you off to slavery. That was the Africans that was doing that. You get what I'm saying? So anyway, this particular ship, this good ship Jesus, it was purchased by King Henry VIII, and Queen Elizabeth later chartered that vessel for this brother, for this man, Hawkins, not a brother, this man Hawkins, to be shipping slaves. He was known for holding daily services on board. Yes, Christian services on board of the good ship Jesus. He made his crew serve God and love one another. And so basically that good ship Jesus became one of the first English vessels to carry enslaved Africans across the ocean. So many of you already knew that, but for some that didn't, I'm letting you know. That particular vessel captured several hundred people near Sierra Leone alone through violence and deception, and then sold us into the Caribbean. Yeah, sit with that for a second. So there's a ship named Jesus who was captained by a man who prayed daily, used the Bible, used all of this, nonsense. He used to transport human beings in chains, in chains. We were in chains. And some accounts of the story even describe him as presenting the idea of boarding the ship to the Africa to the Africans. He said, come on and get on this ship as an offer of salvation. In other words, deception tricked them. And then those same people found themselves locked on the deck below. You all seen the images. And arguably, listen, the only thing that we can say about history is that's what it is. Break it down. His story. We actually really don't know what happened. I say that you can energetically go along with what feels good to you. All right. So when melanated folks say the name of Jesus, and they say that it feels like a colonial weapon, they're not what my young kids say, capping. They say, stop capping. That's not cap. It's not paranoia. It's history. That wound is real. That name was painted on the hull of one of the ships that opened the English slave trade. But now watch this. When we talk about that, it's less about who Yeshua, Jesus, Jesus was as a person or a teacher. It's less about that. It's about how the name got used. How the name got used. It's about a symbol getting hijacked by imperialism. Right? The same way a flag, a scripture, sacred language, all of these things have been hijacked by colonialists, by imperialists, by all of these people throughout history. Right? They will take the sacred language and dilute it and give you English. This is why when you pray, because Christ, Yeshua, prayed in Aramaic or Amharic. So there was a different tonal, even when you speak Arabic, even when you speak Hebrew, even when you speak Latin, which the Catholic Church, why you think the Catholic Church says their prayers and some of their most profound prayers, why do you think they speak that in Latin? Because you look at Latin, you look at Hebrew, you look at Aramaic, you look at Hebrewism, you look Hebrew language, you look at these different languages and you see that there was once power there, but when by the time all of this stuff is transcribed and rewritten and all of that back down to you, it becomes diluted and less powerful. So this is also another reason why a lot of melanated folks think that Jesus Christ ain't got no power. And according to which version you're tapping into, I would have to agree. You see, it's not the Jesus, which is an egregore. It's not the Buddha, which is an egregore. It's not the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is about the energy. It's not about Ogun, Oshun, Shango, Obatala, Eshu. It's not about, any of these deities as much as it is about the energy that we feed to them. You see. So what energy is being fed to the Jesus energy? Because it's not just one. So this is where I want you to kind of go a little bit wider with me. So when people say Jesus, they're usually talking about three completely different things and calling it one name. I'm going to keep it 100. Somebody put some hundreds in the chat if y'all are with me. Let me see some hundreds in the chat if you're ready for me to keep it 100. It's I got three different paths, and there might even be more paths. When we look into Ifa, we look at deities, and you say, oh, Shun has 20-something paths, or this deity has different paths. Let's talk about the paths that this Jesus energy has, this Yeshua, this Christ, this Christos. Okay? Let's talk about this. Okay, so you have the historical man. This is one energy that folks tapping into when they talk about Jesus. The historical man who was a Jewish teacher. He was a Jewish teacher. They said that he was a Jew, original Jew, living inside of there was a lot of reform going on during the time that he was living. And contrary to popular belief, Jesus fought against religious constructs. For all you religious people out there that want to push that narrative, what you got to understand, it is about three different Jesuses. So the historical Jesus taught about compassion, historically, from what we understand. Again, I wasn't there, neither were you. Okay? But this Jesus, the historical one, taught about compassion, taught about a direct relationship with the divine, a direct relationship with the divine. He distrusted like the government, people in wealth and power. He challenged the religious establishments. He was a man who taught in parables. He taught to poor people. He wasn't all up on the internet talking about, yes, I'm a celebrity reader and I'm going to, he taught to the poor people, farmers and fishermen. He sat down with hookers and hoes, lepers. He ate with outcasts. And he was executed by an empire that saw him as a threat to their order. That's one version of Jesus. Talk to me when I'm talking. I need y'all to keep the chat going alive so I know, because we're feeding off of each other's energy here, right? Talk to me when I'm talking. So now there's another version of Jesus, the mythical Christ. The mythical Christ. The consciousness that some traditions describe that is available to any of us. I call that the universal Christ. That's the Christ consciousness that we call. It's love embodied. It's a frequency. It is a frequency, not a fence. Okay, so this is actually closer or closest to what a lot of mystics and metaphysical teachers mean when we talk about the Christ consciousness. It's a state of unity and unconditional love, and that can't be owned, that can't be copywritten, that can't be patented by any one religion, because it's a frequency. Okay, so we talked about the historical frequency of Jesus, or the Jewish teacher Yeshua. In Ethiopia, he is called Jesus, Christos. And then there's the institutional Jesus. And this is the one that most people have unwittingly tapped into. That's the one that is on the flags and they paint the pictures and on the ships and with the colonial doctrine. That Jesus is the one that was used to justify slavery, conquest, forced conversion, either convert. You remember the Knights Templar and all of these people that was talking about convert or lose your life. And they, in this version, the institutional Jesus was used to erase the indigenous and African spiritual practices across the globe. Let me say that part one more time for those of you that are just tuning in. I said the institutional Jesus, the one that when the Yakub, when the Tubab, when those people put their hand over their heart into the flag and God bless America, that's the institutional Jesus that they're praying to. The one that erased indigenous and African spiritual practices across the globe. But I want to be honest with you because I don't want to teach you anything that I can't stand by. You hear a lot of spiritual teachers say that Jesus, studied and taught directly from the Dead Sea Scrolls. Now, a lot of historians, they want to fight against that. You have theological debaters and different people, So let me tell you a little bit about the scrolls real quick, like the Dead Sea Scrolls. The scrolls came from a Jewish community in the early century BCE. I want to Qumran. So there's evidence that, and I believe also he was Essenian, right? The Essenes who taught Gnosticism. I don't want to make this all about Jesus because I want to bring it back to the tarot, and I'm going to do so beautifully and eloquently if you all just stay with me. But I am a teacher. Okay. Yes, I've been a reader for over 25 years, but I am a teacher. I am a vessel of divine knowledge and wisdom. So before I just tell you anything, whether you should or you shouldn't flip cards, that's not for me to tell you. My job is to educate you so that you can make informed decisions for yourself. What I can tell you is this. A lot of people wearing the label of Christian today, they're not actually practicing what's a tribute to the historical teacher. Right? Yeshua, Eusus, in the Ge'ez or Amharic language. They're not. You see, my mother gave it an excellent term that I love. She, they call it Christianity. My mother calls it churchianity. Churchianity when you're more caught up in the doctrine. You're more instead of living right and forgiveness, care for the poor. We look at wealth. And it's funny how a lot of people, they want to thank God for their wealth, and it's true. All things come from the divine and energy of good. But this is why I say you get caught up with that good and evil, that God and that devil, and all of this type of stuff. If we're going according to what traditions teach, didn't God make the devil the ruler over this earth? So if you are all caught up in chasing the dollar and, yes, I like to manifest my money too. Yes, I like to make affirmations that money flows, easily to me. But money is a current. It's a frequency. You get money based on the frequency that you're on. And it's not just a frequency of abundance. It's a high vibrational frequency that allows you to tap in and call into your reality any and everything that you want. But if we're going to according to what traditions teach, if God made the devil the ruler over this world, then who are you actually really worshiping when you chasing that dollar, when because he's the master of this material realm, is he not? I'm just saying what they teach. That doesn't necessarily believe that I believe what they teach. But what I'm saying is, before you want to speak on something or speak on somebody's journey and their decision to stop doing tarot or to pick up tarot, you have to educate yourself. Right? What the true Christos energy taught or teaches us is direct connection over blind obedience. Watch this. Let me say it one more time. Direct connection over blind obedience. Because you can wear the label as a Christian and not have any substance. And that's not me being mean or harsh. That's just real. That's just observable. Now let's get off a little bit more into the tarot a little bit. I walked with this system for many, 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 many years. I have held in my possession at any given time over 50 tarot decks. I was once a collector of tarot decks. And again, like I said, I created and made, like I said, up to 20 oracle decks and 3 tarot decks of my own. Right? So I want to talk about the cards because I hear a lot of people say, especially when they come back and they want to talk about somebody else's journey, about why this person, it's just the cards. It can't do, it's just the cards. It's just the cards. That might be true when you say a candle is just a candle until you put intention behind it. That may be true when you say that a magic wand made from the holly tree is just a stick until you put intention behind it. But the tarot cards is not just a deck of cards. And this is where many of you who take this position are inaccurate. So tarot started off as a game. It didn't even start off as a tool for divination. So we already know this, right? So for those of you that know, just ride along. For those that don't, let me teach you something here. So this was in Europe. You don't find Africans pulling out cards. We're going to pull out some shells. We're going to pull out some sticks. We're going to read with some bones. So it started in Europe. We're going to give it its credit where its credit is due. So over centuries of time, you've had different hands, different traditions put their spin on it, whether they're weaving into the Hermetic teachings of the Hermetic principles, occult scholars, different people like that. What was that? Crowley made a Golden Dawn tarot. Even when I made my tarot, the Sirius Codex, I based it off of, energetic presence from the beings from Sirius. So by the time you get somebody else to put their hands on it, layering meaning onto the basic structure, that's what happens. You're getting other people's energies, especially when you're using store-bought cards or cards that you order or cards that you didn't make yourself. But you're still basing it on a structure. Nobody can right now today, nobody can point to a single creator and say this is exactly what they intended, because it was never just one person's vision. It was no different than a deck of playing cards. You see how you have the king, queen, jack, and all of that is the same. It's the emperor, the empress, the page, the knight. You look at how they're very closely related. Cartomancy, cardology, you can actually read with a regular deck of playing cards. I've done that as well. Now, that doesn't mean that it makes it less of a portal, because remember, we're opening, we are portals. Your chakra centers are portals. Huh? We ain't gonna go there because that's a teaching for another day. Make sure you check the link in the description and click on that so you can figure out everything that I got going on, and you could come into some deep teachings if you think this is good. Now, we don't know exactly where it came from because it was built up. Okay, generation after generation, each contributor adding their own symbolism, from the New Orleans voodoo deck to During Virtues, Angel Tarot, to all of these different type of decks that was out. People offered their own understanding of the archetypes and their own intention, even down to the artwork. That's actually partly why it holds its power. And each card, watch this, is not just a card. Each card is an archetype. Each card is an archetype. Each card is a portal. Each card means something. Each card has a number to represent. There's a system that builds into it. And no different than when Christians go to church and praise Jesus and they feel the Holy Spirit come in and everybody starts shouting. They've opened a portal based on energy that they've put into that. So when you put that energy into the tarot, each card, when you go into the Fool, that's a zero. That's a portal all by itself. You have to go through that portal. See that Fool is going from basically nothingness, the zero representing nothingness. So that Fool representing infinitesimal amount of knowledge. Let me just take a plunge. I don't really know what I'm talking about here. I don't really know what I'm doing, but let me jump through this zero, this hole, this portal, which is what the number zero is represented by on the Fool card. Let me jump through that circle. Let me jump through that portal and come to the number one, which is standing straight up and down. So that takes us into from spiritualism into the physical reality. Each card is a portal. Each card is an archetype. It is not just a deck of cards. You get what I'm saying? That's not superstition. People have poured focus and meaning into the decks as they create them, but the underlying system itself tells a story. It's a journey. They call it the Fool's Journey. Reaching every archetype along the way. This is why when you're doing a reading and you're weaving the cards together, it builds a story. Yes, it's resonant in many cases because of the system that it's built upon. And this is how symbol systems work. The tarot is a symbol system. Symbols are very ancient to the human mind. No different than the runes, the I Ching, or even astrology. Now, there's a shadow side to this too. I taught a class because I do secret classes, and I taught a class on the dark side of tarot. For those of you that joined that class, I know you got something very good. I may put some of those teachings on my course website as well, and offer it and expand that spiritual energetic wellness practitioner certification with some of those teachings as well. So because I do feel that just like people want to teach you the tarot or think they're teaching you the tarot, they ought to also teach you the shadow sides. And a lot of tarot content online, they don't talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it. Here's the part that could be dangerous. We're not talking about the cards themselves, but what we're talking about is how people outsource their own inner knowing to the cards. You know how dangerous that is? Your own inner knowing to the cards. And what happens is you do this so much till you stop trusting your own gut, your own intuition, your own higher self, your own inner voice. You stop trusting that completely and sell it out to the cards. Oh my God, I did my reading when I woke up and my cards told me. And then what happens is because you read that card first thing upon rising, you did your little 1-card spread and your little 3-card spread. So suppose you did your little 3-card spread and you got the devil card, you got the tower card, and you got the emperor in a reverse position. Oh my God. Now all of a sudden you've taken that into your consciousness. So now that you've taken that into your consciousness and focused on it, you're going to through and by self-fulfilling prophecy, make a lot of that happen. So boom, are we talking about self-fulfilling prophecy or are we talking about the cards told you something that was going to happen? And this is the danger when I say that people, when you outsource your own inner knowing to the cards, you sell out completely, you stop trusting yourself, and it's all about what the cards told you. It's not in the cards. Somebody put the link, moderator, somebody put the link to my book so that they can know it's not in the cards. Matter of fact, put the link to the Soul Unity in the chat. Some people might not read the description, but they can get to the book link from there. Some people pull cards over and over and over and over and over and over compulsively until they get the answer you were looking for. Now, that's not guidance. That's you tripping. You're going to keep pulling and then, oh, no, that ain't saying nothing. Then you're going to keep pulling. Oh, no, that ain't saying nothing. And then finally, you're going to get what you're looking for. That's not guidance anymore. That's your anxiety wearing a spiritual costume. And another danger is how a lot of people will let a reader replace their own discernment, your own therapy, your own personal relationship with source. So you've replaced Jesus for your reader. You've replaced or your pastor or anybody else that you give that much authority over telling you what's, you put too much into it. And my thing is that at what point do you start trusting yourself? Even me, during the time that I was a reader, very prolific and at the height of my game, there were times I would have to turn people down because I say, "Did you just booked a reading with me last week? What could have changed that fast? Other than you calling me to give me a report about something that I said given true, you don't have to book a session for that." I never was into just taking people money just because. If you needed to sit with me and it was a legitimate cause, and a lot of my reading also come with coaching, distance Reiki, and different things like that. So it's not just about me charging you for a reading. You have to have a reader that's worth some integrity, because one that'll just keep letting you pay them for readings over and over and over again, and nothing has changed. You're not applying any of the knowledge and wisdom, and you, something is wrong with that person, and something more importantly is wrong with you. When you let a reader replace your own discernment, I've had plenty of people sit across from me, whether it be on Zoom video, whether it be face to face. I give them a reading and say, you know what? I knew that. That confirms it. You already knew it all along. You really didn't need me. But most of the time, because we're not confident, we're unsure. But hopefully, by the time this is over and you jump on over into the new timeline, into the 5D frequency, you're going to begin to start trusting in yourself more. Now, there will always, this is why Witch Talk has billions of views, because there's always going to be people that want to outsource their spiritual problems. They don't want to deal with it themselves. They want the reader to tell them what to do. They want the hoodoo worker to fix it for them. They want, because they don't have the confidence, the knowledge, the wisdom to do it themselves. But I also want to drop a bomb on you, baby. If you pay somebody to do a reading, you pay somebody to do spiritual work, there was a currency, there was an energetic exchange. So anything that they do, it falls back on you. Oh, well, my reader told me so and so and so and so. And this happened and that happened. Well, okay. You pull these cards over and over and over again till you get the answer that you want. That's that. You see, a card is a mirror. The card energy or message oftentimes will mirror back to you what's going on. It was never meant to be the final word. And that's where the problem comes in at. No different than when we look at spirits. We don't talk about this enough either, because the same applies whether you're pulling tarot cards, praying to a saint, calling on a spirit guide, asking an ancestor for a sign. You know, there's a real difference between working with a spirit and hiding behind a spirit. Somebody back that thing up like a truck. What'd she say? What'd she say? She said there is a real difference between working with a spirit and hiding behind spirit. Hmm? Working with spirit looks like a partnership. You call the guidance in, you listen, and you still make moves according to your own judgment, how your own body feels, your own will. You making the choice. Now, hiding behind spirit looks like you selling out every decision so that you never have to sit with the discomfort of choosing it for yourself. Sometimes it's like, I need a sign before I can take an action. Oh, I don't do anything unless I get a sign. Well, what about you? Don't you have a sign within you called the divine spark? That is your divine spark of light. That divine spark which sits somewhere between your solar plexus and your sacral chakra in your dantian. That divine spark can be ignited and then ignite all of your meridians and your chakras to fully come online. This is how you start trusting in yourself. or you need to get a reading before you can trust a relationship. You need a spirit guide's approval before you trust yourself. Listen, a spiritual relationship is just that. A relationship is a partnership. That word ship at the end of it is what we're looking at here. See, every card you pull, every guide you talk to, every saint, every ancestor you call on is only meant to point you toward the inner power, the power living inside you. Come on, somebody, talk to me when I'm talking. It's not supposed to replace it. You're not an empty vessel just waiting for something outside of yourself to fill you up with some truth. You carry your own inner truth. You have your own intuition. You have your own direct line to the all that is, to the source. Spirit doesn't just hand you answers so you can stop trusting yourself. Spirit is going to reflect back to you like the mirror of Oshun. Spirit is going to reflect back to you what you already know on some level so you can begin to trust yourself even more. I'm going to pause so you all can tell me if I'm saying something right tonight. I'm going to pause so I can get some comments in the chat so somebody could tell me. Let me look at the comments so somebody could tell me if I'm saying something right tonight. You sitting around waiting to be full up with some truth. You have the truth inside of you. Right? This is okay. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. See, this is kind of what happened to me, you know, and what I watch happen to people that I've coached, right? You have a person, they start a spiritual practice from a place of genuine curiosity and connection, right? And then what happens is over a period of time, if they're not careful, the practice, it becomes a crutch. And I've always taught to watch your teachers. If your teachers are not growing, then you need to jump ship anyway. Because the only thing that stays the same is change. If right now in 2026, I was teaching the same things that I was teaching in 2016, that means that my knowledge is not expanded, that my spirit has not grown and expanded. And what really can I do for you but repeat some shit that you can tap in and get anywhere online? But I've watched it happen to people, right? It seems like they can't make a decision without a reading. They can't trust the feeling until someone else confirms it. They've traded one authority, maybe a parent, a religion, a partner, for another authority, right? It could be a deck of cards, a reader, your worker, or even a spirit that you can't see. The outsourcing, it might look different, but the pattern is the same, family. The pattern is the same. We're outsourcing the divine spark of knowledge and wisdom that's within us. But what is the spiritual medicine here? Because I'm all about giving spiritual medicine. It's not for you to stop working with spirit. It's to check how you show up. Are you coming to a reading, a prayer, a ritual, or anything that you can come like a partner asking for a reflection? Or are you coming as someone hoping to escape the responsibility of making that choice for yourself? There's a difference there. One of those choices builds your inner authority. The other one only chips it away, breaks it down, no matter how sacred the tool feels in that moment. I've always taught my students that who love to use cards that if you're going to use cards, use them until you don't need them. No different than I tell people that live in the projects. Stay in the projects until you don't need to anymore. How's that the same? Because it's the same. For some people, living in the projects is a crutch. It means if you only have to pay $7 of rent, opposed to getting your black ass up and going to work and paying your 1,000 and your 1,200 and everything, you're gonna appreciate that crutch. You're gonna want to stay up in there in the housing project because it's become a crutch where you don't have to have that much responsibility and you can still be taken care of. It's the same thing when you have a dependency on tools. It's the same thing, right? The history of persecution, though, it goes both ways. I can't I can't be a true teacher without talking about this, because for a very long time, for centuries even, the church, we're not talking about the spiritual energy of Christ, Yeshua, Jesus, right? We're talking about the church. They suppress divination. They suppress African spirituality. They suppress indigenous spirituality. They suppress what they call like the folk healing. They suppress the tarot. And they looked all of it as heresy or putting it in the same lines as witchcraft. Now, by them doing that, right, because it was manufactured by the institution, the powers that be, that wanted to protect uh, their ownership on spiritual authority. If you know your pastor is the only one, or your bishop, or your priest, or your this, when people take that much power over you that you feel that you can't get an answer from God, the creator, Jesus, or whoever it is you're going through, without going through another individual, I don't know what to tell you. Again, you're wrong. Christ said, I and my Father are one. So that means you already connected. Christ said the kingdom of God is within you. You already there. There's nowhere else you have to go. You don't have to go to church. You don't have to go to the masjid. You don't have to go to the temple. You don't have to go to any of these places, unless, of course, your spirit leads you there. And 9 times out of 10, you go there for community. You go there for sociability, right? So understanding the history of why it was suppressed helps us to explain why all the tension exists in the culture between these two worlds, religion and divination, or metaphysics, or spirituality. The tension was never necessary in the first place, because blending traditions has always been happening. You have people that even right now, you look at a lot of these African Christian preachers and all of these type of things like that, and they're still very heavily in their a lot of these South African preachers and different things like that. These people have churches, but I bet you they go see the Sangoma. I bet you they still go see the root doctor, the plant healer. Most of these people that go to church, do you all know how many church people, including bishops, pastors, clergymen, that I used to have as clients, right? Politicians, and yes, celebrities. And here's the other thing about that: when you look at all these people online, people that have true power, they don't have to really advertise it. Oh, I read for so and so. I'm a celebrity. I do this, I do that, I do this. I took that when I seen so many people doing that. I was like, no, all y'all can't be no damn celebrity reader. Stop lying. What celebrity are you reading? Are you reading celebrities' energy, or are celebrities actually booking sessions with you repetitively? Nobody even knows who you are. People use that as marketing to try to get you and bait you in to spend your money to book a session with them. And I'm not saying that anything is wrong with it, because on the third dimension, keep on paying your readers, keep on paying your hoodoo workers. That's what you do in the third D. I'm not upset with you. Do what you do. Live how you want to live, sweetheart. There's no judgment from me. But in the 5D, we do it for ourselves. In the 5D, we take accountability for ourselves. We tap in for ourselves. But I do want to say that blending traditions has always happened. You got a lot of readers who they got this whole genre of people out there that call themselves Christian witches. I don't like that term. I think it's an oxymoron, because witch has such a negative connotation on it. And if these people that are calling themselves witches knew what a real witch really was, I don't think that they would use the term. It's not a term or a badge to just be worn lightly. And I'm gonna tell y'all this, like I told you before, just like there are so many of you all professing to be witches, there are so many people and institutions that still exist that don't advertise, that are witch hunters. And they're not hunting you in the like the movie, the Hollywood, with bows and arrows and sneaking up on you in the middle of the night. They doing it in the spirit realm. They attacking you in the fourth dimension. See, you think somebody somewhere in Africa or somebody down south done put a root on you or done put a hex on you. But when actually you're dealing with principalities in high places, you're dealing with very ancient and spiritual intelligences that can spiritually blind and spiritually confuse you. So who's to say that a lot of these readers that are stepping out and running back to Jesus are not spiritually blinded or spiritually confused? Because you start tapping into such things, and then I'm a witch, I'm a witch, I'm a witch. You're doing all this stuff. There are still witch hunters, whether you all believe that or not. You don't have to take my word for it. And just like you be doing things in the spirit realm and your ass be astral traveling and astral projecting, they're going to catch you up out there in the marketplace. They call it the spiritual marketplace, boys and girls, and your soul is for sale. Hmm? Somebody right now. This is why people used to come to me. See, I never was the one that was putting the hexes on people. I was the one that was taking it off. And then I realized that a lot of people that was getting hexed and getting caught up was doing so because they was dipping in the mustard and couldn't catch up. So you got to be careful with that. What people are tapping into, and then they bringing some story to you that you haven't vetted. Talking about, I need you to do this. I need you to take this off me. I need you to do this. Somebody did this and somebody did that. They know very well who did it and why, but they're coming to you to get it removed because they don't want the accountability and the responsibility of doing it for themselves. I digress. It's not a betrayal when people say, I want to do the cards, and they still say they love Jesus or they still love Yeshua. Again, doesn't one of the words for most of you Christians out there, you people, you say, judge not lest ye be judged. Then you in the Kemetic tradition say, Ma'at is the judge of our souls and our spirits at the day of reckoning. Everybody got to answer for themselves. So I'm not going to look down at a person that says they do the tarot, but they also still love Jesus. That's on them. And if the Jesus that they're tapped into leads them to leave the tarot alone and start exercising their gifts in a different way, who are we to have anything to say about that? Throughout history, plenty of people have merged spiritual systems. It's no different than our brothers and sisters in Haiti during the Haitian Revolution. They had to hide the African spirits behind the Catholic saints, like the Yoruba Orishas. And we had to do that to preserve spirituality under forced conversion. What is forced conversion? Somebody telling you better do this or lose your life. Get your tongue cut out because you're chanting in a language that these people didn't understand. So that blending and that mixing, it really wasn't about being confused. It was resilience when we did it. So why somebody want to look at this little girl and say, oh, somebody messing with her. Let these people live. Anybody that's moving between tarot and the Christian faith, or even holding both at the same time, they're participating in a very old and very human pattern. But you have to use your discernment, because that discernment applies to every path, not just tarot. The same caution about dependency applies equally to you dependent on the cards, a pastor, a guru, a coach, an imam, a baba, an iya, a tata. You put so much dependency, the same caution applies. The real teaching point isn't tarot versus Christianity here. What I want to talk about is direct connection versus outsourced authority. And that's any way you want to cut it, any way you want to shape it up. So with this situation, when you say, why are so many tarot readers running to Jesus? That's because it was never really about the tarot versus Jesus. That's erroneous. That's not really a fight. Really, I don't even have a dog in the fight, because I have respect for all deities and so many traditions, because I believe that a person's journey is just their own. It's their own journey. The real question underneath all of it is this: are you building a direct relationship with the Supreme, with all that is, or are you handing your power to something outside of you, whether it's a card, a pastor, a guru, a label, I'm a witch. I'm a tarot reader. A spirit guide, a coach. Are you building a direct relationship with your creator? Or again, are you outsourcing that power, your internal power, the power that is yours and yours alone? Are you outsourcing that to somebody? Right? It doesn't matter what position you're standing in. If you're outsourcing your own knowing and your own power, that's the actual problem. This is why so many people can judge this young lady. This is how so many people, back when Doreen Virtue stepped back from it, this is why so many people, I never judged Doreen. I just was like, well, if you won't do it, I will. And I created all of those decks because I said, if I'm going to pick up where she left off. Right? If you're using any tool, any practice, any faith as a bridge back to your own direct connection, then that's the spiritual medicine. That's what you need to be tapping into. Not if you're just using it because you're afraid to do the work. You don't want to face who you are. So the next time you all see somebody online renouncing their old path for a new one, or the next time you feel judged for where you are, just come back to that one question. How are you standing in your power? It's not about what side is right. It's not about, oh, the tarot and the witches and the readers are all right. And the church is wrong. It's not about, oh, we the people of Jesus, we're right, and the rest of you are demons going to hell. That's false too. That's false too. Because you all love to be talking about the devil, the devil, the devil, something. You Christians, come on now. And guess what? You can be a person that follows the teachings of Christ. Because for me, there's a difference between Jesus, uh, European pronunciation, European name, Yeshua, Hebrew pronunciation, Iesus, Ethiopian pronunciation. The name is called, many, according to many languages, it's the frequency of the being that we're talking about. Many people can tap into that frequency and not be Christians. Okay, church people, I need to implore that upon you. It is not up to us to judge. And I will say that Christianity is one of the most judgmental religions that I've ever studied, ever come into contact with. The Christian people that I see, they look at you if you all tatted up. They look at you if you come in with the booty pants on and the cleavage showing the church. I mean, if you're just coming and you're just trying to get it, they should embrace you. They should do like the mothers of old did. They're not going to turn you away and turn up their face like, look at how she coming up in this place looking like a Jezebel. No, those old mothers, they would take like a little blanket or a scarf or a handkerchief or something and just to show you, and out of respect, you would allow them to do that. Nowadays, these people don't have respect for the elders. Because why? Because any and everything goes on in the church, including witchcraft. So let's be clear, for those of you from a Christian perspective that want to judge this little girl for all these years that she was doing tarot, for one of judging people like myself for all of these years that I was doing tarot. I chose to elevate out of the tarot, not because I felt, and I tell my mother this all the time, who is a very strong believer in Christ. I didn't stop doing tarot because I felt like something was wrong with it. I stopped doing tarot because I am the tarot. I once was the fool who became the magician, who transferred and transmutated and became the high priestess. I became the empress and gave birth to creative ideas. I was even the emperor, very, very disciplined and immovable in my ways. I became the hierophant and start tapping into spiritual knowledge. Huh? I became the lovers when I began to love on myself. I became the chariot as I allowed the knowledge and wisdom to carry me through. I became the strength card. I became the justice card. When the tower hit my life plenty of times, I was the tower card. I was the devil card too when I was more worrying about manifesting money, when I was worrying about manifesting health. You see, This is why I stopped doing it, not because I felt like it was demonic or something wrong, because the way that my spirit was elevating and calling me, it was letting me know that there'll come a time, dear brothers and sisters, that you won't need any tools. There will come a time when you realize that you are and have always been the tool. Now, the question becomes, how do you allow yourself to be used? So, in closing, I want to say, if this stirred something in you, I want you to sit with that before you react or comment, because when we're stirred by something, that's when we know that we can grow by it. You see, I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't have a fight against terror, and I don't have a fight against Christianity, because I don't fight in the fifth dimension. I live and let live. I let the lessons that I've learned be my compass toward where I'm going, to guide me toward where I'm going. So what I would like to do as I leave is say some words of affirmation, a prayer of protection over each and every one of you that are listening, over each person that consults the tarot, that reads the tarot, over each person that goes to church and prays in the name of Jesus. You are all valuable. You are all worthy to be breathing space in the same planet. I know the Bible says, suffer a witch not to live. But there are plenty of people who decided to denounce witchcraft, to denounce certain things, and come into the fold of Christ. And if it was the deity and the spirit of Christ that helped pull them out of confusion and chaos, then why are you judging that? If it was the spirit of Allah, if it was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who pulled a person out of something that they felt they no longer wanted to be a part of, why are you judging that? If a person decided that they wanted to leave Jesus Christ and leave the church and go and study and find out who is their head and follow the cooling, calm teachings of Obatala, why are you judging that? Your walk is your walk. My walk is my walk. In the third dimension, we depend on tools. In the third dimension, we depend on people. In the third dimension, we often depend on external influence to lead us towards knowledge and wisdom. But in the fifth dimension, we are led towards truth. And the only way to be led towards truth is by listening to the God within. I hope I've said something, brothers and sisters, that have helped teach you today. I'm getting ready to bust a move like Young MC and get on up out of here. But I want to say a prayer of peace, protection, and healing over all of you. I pray that your mind be clear. I pray that your nervous system be rebalanced. I pray that whatever it is that you're wishing to manifest for yourself be handed to you through the ways of righteousness. And when I mean righteousness, I mean what's righteous for you, because what's righteous for you is not righteous for me. You have to remember that these deities, these spirits, they have power because we give them power. See, and watch this. Most of these spirits, they need a sacrifice. They need a blood sacrifice. They need you to go drop some fruit off. They need you to go pour out a little liquor. Most of these spirits and these deities want something. Jesus Christ wants your whole heart. But again, which version of the Christ energy are you tapping into? And knowing that there are many different versions, there are at least 3 that I called out in this teaching. The historical, the mystical, and the institutional frequencies of Jesus. And most of you melanated people have tapped either into, 9 times out of 10, you've tapped into institutional version of Jesus, because this is what's been pushed on you. But I'm here to tell you that if you really want Christ's wisdom and Christ's knowledge, then you'll recognize that there is no judgment. There's only room for love and compassion. And that doesn't mean that the historical Yeshua that lived in that time where he was, that was crucified and beat up on and hurt by people, that doesn't mean that this person was soft or punk or anything like that. This person was about it. turning up the tables, what people were selling in the, having a marketplace within God's house and all of these type of different things. There's so many stories. There's so much history that we miss when we call ourselves getting on the internet trying to teach somebody. There's so much history behind the tarot. There's so much history behind a lot of these divination systems that many of you, just because you done went and got initiated somewhere a year ago, don't you know that it takes a lifetime to truly assimilate or reach a power into your experience? That initiation is just that initial. It is the initial step. Please don't think that you are a guru or someone that could tell it all because you've been doing something for a hot minute. What makes you an authority to not only teach people, but to charge them for your teachings and your services? You better sit with yourself and ask yourself that. And maybe that's what that young lady was going at, because see, sometimes you open these portals and spirits start turning up in your life, and in your life they start wreaking havoc in your life. And sometimes people leave out of fear, and sometimes people leave simply out of misalignment, that it no longer resonates with where they are. And if you are a follower of such a person, what I beg to you is learn how to follow the God within you and stop outsourcing your power to other people. All right, brothers and sisters, I hope that this has helped you guys. Once again, check the link in the description. Thank you to my moderators. Thank you to each and every one of you that joined during the live. I love you very much so. I cover you with peace, love, and prosperity. Make sure that you get over to the site and get you one of your handbags with the matching journal. We got some amazing, beautiful handbags going on over there that will help, that's going to carry you through your life. You talking about get the bag, because these bags is full of energy. Okay. All right, guys, until next time, I'll leave you all in the peace, the love, and the oneness of the infinite creator. All right, until next time.